How about in terms of tests? I know when I went to school and being an engineer, everyone had the emphasis on the SATs. So how is that weighing right now? I've heard that it's kind of dropped a little bit. It's important, but it's not as important as when I went to college. Is that true?
It is true. One of the big reasons is the pandemic. So last spring, when most high school juniors take the SAT or ACT for the first time, most of them got canceled for a very long period of time. Now, there are some regions of the country where the SAT and ACT are a lot more available, but what we're seeing is those colleges that adopted a test optional policy last year for the current high school seniors, many of them have already extended that for the current junior class and sometimes even beyond that. And so a lot of people are saying, why are they extending it? Well, part of it is that they want to be as accommodating as possible during the pandemic. But the other part of it is they're seeing a very different applicant pool being test optional. Some colleges are experiencing double-digit percentage increases. In fact, Colgate University, great college in northern or upstate New York, received an applicant pool that was over 100% higher this year than it was last year. And a lot has to do with adopting a test optional policy, at least for last year. So some of these colleges are seeing huge application increases, which is what they want. They're seeing a much more diverse applicant pool, more students of color, more first-generation American students, more rural students applying to those colleges. And so these colleges are going, hey, this test optional policy isn't so bad. And so we'll have to wait and see, but probably these colleges need to have at least another year or two of data to see what effect that test optional policy had on their applicant pool, their enrolled student body, and their data points.
Well, hey, everybody, and welcome once again to the J Moore Tech Talk Show. It is always great to have our new subscribers, and of course, we welcome our old subscribers as well. Marcus, it is great to see you again on this fine Friday. How are you doing tonight?
I'm doing very good, John. It's very good to be with you once again on a Good Friday.
Yes, we are at the point now where the mask law has been rescinded, at least I know in New Jersey, and I think many other places, and starting to, get people that feel like we're back on top. But I think we got to take it a little bit easy. I think we're moving quick, and that's fine. But I think we still got to be a little careful because they're saying that, they're going to do this premise, but they're entrusting people that aren't vaccinated to still wear their masks. So I think this is going to be a very honor system, and we're going to have to wait and see, Marcus, what's going to happen this weekend. Is it going to be a great weekend, or is it going to be a number climbing weekend?
Excellent point there, John. So it will be very interesting to find out.
So my advice to everyone here is that if you have gotten vaccinated, okay, definitely, feel free to remove your mask if your state allows that. And now the law has changed in our state to 3 feet instead of 6 feet. So they're trying, but again, let's still be smart, okay? We don't want to be back where we were 2 years ago. Well, research has come up with some very interesting things lately.
Yeah.
Imagine this, Marcus. We talk about robots all the time. But how about one that could actually smile back at you?
Wow, that's some pretty, high-tech stuff there. So that's really what I think many people kind of are afraid of, I think.
This is the interesting thing. And this actually comes to us from the researchers in the Creative Machines Lab at Columbia Engineering. They've been working on this project called Eva for 5 years.
Yeah.
Okay. It's an autonomous robot with very soft and amazingly expressive facial deployments for different types of emotions. And the thing you're probably asking yourself is, so how does a robot, know how to smile or know how to make these different gestures? And it's really interesting.
Yeah, I'm wondering that.
I figured you were going to ask that question. So what they do is they have the robot basically watch themselves on Zoom and all the different emotions, and it causes an association very similar to our brains and the neural networks, and it causes the physiology like it would in our body. It causes the circuits in the robot to learn what things they need to do when they smile, when they're sad, when they're angry, when they're curious. So they're starting to program all these emotions into the robot. So the robot is going to be able to really appear like he or she is actually interacting. Now, the challenging part of this whole project was they had to come up with a mechanism and a system that was so small it would fit inside the human skull, but still being functional to be able to produce a lot of these different expressions, as Farja noted. And it's very interesting that they spent countless hours taking the different emotions and uploading them, and then having the robot with the sensors in their eyes watch the different videos and then respond.
I'm just wondering, being that like we starting to humanize robots now, and a lot of these are going to be, I guess, in a sense, colleagues of many people who are working. What are the things we should be most concerned about, or what should we be most excited about, John?
Well, we're going to talk a little more about where this is going later in the program. But what I want to share with you right now is that there's some dangers, because when you're able to do this, you're able to cause humans to elicit certain responses. Imagine a virus getting into a robot and causing it to give you angry expressions. That could cause an anarchy to break out, right?
Right.
So we'll definitely keep an eye, but there's going to be some challenges. We'll talk more about that. So another thing in the news, MIT came up with a slender robotic finger that's able to sense buried items. So being able to find things alone is not easy, but how about trying to sift through massive amounts of dirt and fine sand to find very small miniature objects, and maybe even someday disarm a landmine, and maybe even inspect cables? That means that the dexterity, Marcus, has to be really to the nines.
Yeah.
And they are using a very, I want to say powerful, but a very creative type of technology with their sharp-tipped robot finger with a very sensitive tactile mechanism to meet the challenges of these buried objects. Imagine a robot being able to just take its hand and stick down into a box, or whether it's peanuts or whether it's sand, or it has to just go down very gently and be able to just see if there's a wire there and not break the wire.
Oh, that's incredible. Now that could be very useful in a lot of instances.
I hear you. And something else they're hoping it's going to do someday is to be able to perform various subterranean duties, such as finding buried cable and, like I said, disarming buried bombs.
Yeah, I can name a lot of instances where this would be very handy. There's a lot of buried bombs over in Kuwait yet. And a lot of World War II stuff that's still being uncovered and being set off. Like kids are just walking over this stuff and dying. So this is definitely revolutionary.
It's one thing, Marcus, when someone dies, but it's another thing if a robot dies and the robot doesn't die, it doesn't really give its life. I mean, you can always fix a robot.
Right.
You can't bring a human back to life. And so what makes this technology very impressive and interesting is the researchers use this tactile sensor. They call it a gel sight. So this unique sensor, it's basically put together with a clear gel covered with a reflective membrane that deforms when objects press against it. Very similar to our human fingers. When we press down on something, we get the feeling in the tips of our hands.
Right.
It's being able to sense. So if you were able to pick up something, it just, if you take your fingers and you touch very lightly, you could barely feel there being touch, but you can tell. It's that intelligent. This robot has basically the ability with this gel and the membrane to do some amazing things. And what we're also seeing is that there's a camera that collects the membrane's pattern of reflection. So that's very interesting. So not only are we talking about just something that can tell dexterity and the level of touch, and they'll call pressure, okay?
Yeah.
But it has a camera that's able to constantly keep readjusting and sensing how close something is based on the reflection. That's just wild.
That's definitely wild. That's beyond like the probe and sticks they gave us in the military. So,
and it's really going to be something interesting. And so they're going to be able to do all these great things. And the one thing they did, which was interesting, is that they changed the shape now to be this slender cylinder with a bevel tip. And they basically dug about 2/3 of LED lights using a combination of blue LEDs and colored fluorescent paint. And I want to quote, "That saved a lot of complexity in space," says Ouyang. So it's amazing what they're doing in saving space and how they're maximizing their resources. And I want to make another quote. "We wanted to see how mechanical vibrations aid in digging deeper and getting through jams," says Patel. So they ran a vibrating motor at different operating voltages, and it changed the amplitude and the frequency of the vibrations. Then they found that rapid vibrations helped fluidize the media, clearing jams and allowing for deeper burrowing. So not only are we building a robot, but we're building a machine that's able to dig very, very carefully. Yeah. And without getting stuck on a lot of the pit stops that humans might get caught on.
Exactly.
Not to mention the fact that if the robot blows up, we can just build another robot. Now, that might be a few $1 million or $100 million or whatever it is, but it's not a life.
No, it's not.
So I'm going to be very interested to see where this is going. And, some of this research, just to let you know, was actually funded by the Toyota Research Institute through the Toyota CSAIL Joint Research Center and the Office of Naval Research and the Norwegian Research Council. The Navy was in there somewhere.
Oh yeah. So that totally makes sense. So they dive deeper than anyone. So
I mean, being able to disarm a robot, having a robot disarm a bomb. I mean that is just
that's just wild.
You've got to be so precise.
Yeah.
And then a mine. I bet you not only do they have cameras, but they might even have infrared. They're not sharing that with us, but I'm sure they have infrared devices and things that can see through. So I bet you it's not just going to be touch, but I think the Navy and the Army, they haven't told us this yet, probably have devices that are going to be even 100 times better than that green vision we see on TV. That's so behind the times. Everybody thinks it's great. They don't even use green light anymore in the Navy.
No.
But we're basically about 10 years behind what the Navy actually shares. Look at GPS technology, right? Yeah. Now we can get down to within a few feet. Well, they always could get down to a few feet 10, 15 years ago. Right. They only start sharing that with us. Now they can get down even more specific to like within microns. So technology, as it becomes less useful to the military, then gets pawned off to us because it's no longer a threat, and they don't feel that it's a big advantage. It's probably the best thing I would say there. So I'm really interested in what's going on here. But I have to tell you, we'll definitely keep an eye on it and see where it's going. Speaking about where things are going, a lot of kids now are getting ready to go to college. And, you know, the biggest challenge, Marcus, is that a lot of these students that are going to college don't get in. You know why they don't get in? It's because they're not telling their own story. They're actually telling their parents' story. Their parents wrote the essay, not them.
No.
And learning about this from Sara Harberson, who is my next guest. She is known as America's college counselor. She is a nationally recognized authority on elite college admissions with the philosophy that every kid applying to college deserves the best advice. Her groundbreaking free website, Admissions Revolution, gives all students the key information they need to realize their college dreams. And she also wrote the book Soundbite, which is really the hidden secret that gets your kid into college. But the truth of the matter is, Marcus, if the parents would just pull back and let the kid write their own essay, if they want to proof it, you know, for grammar or for, you know, spelling, that's fine. But they can't transpose the words, and they can't paraphrase things and rewrite things and bring new concepts in, because then when the student gets in front of the admissions council, like Sara, and she was involved in this many years ago when I was reading, you cannot be expected to get into college because the story you're telling doesn't match what's on paper. Now they're interviewing saying, gee, well, why did you get involved in drama? Oh, I don't know. You don't match. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I think you and I are going to really enjoy this next guest. Please help me welcome world-known Sara Harberson, again, America's college counselor and the author of Soundbite, right here tonight to the Jay Moore Tech Talk Show. How about in terms of tests? I know when I went to school and being an engineer, everyone had the emphasis on the SATs. So how is that weighing right now? I've heard that it's kind of dropped a little bit. It's important, but it's not as important as when I went to college. Is that true?
It is true. For, you know, one of the big reasons is the pandemic. So last spring, when most high school juniors take the SAT or ACT for the first time, most of them got canceled for a very long period of time. Now, there are some regions of the country where the SAT and ACT are a lot more available, but what we're seeing is those colleges that adopted a test optional policy last year for the current high school seniors, many of them have already extended that for the current junior class and sometimes even beyond that. And so a lot of people are saying, why are they extending it? Well, part of it is that they want to be as accommodating as possible during the pandemic. But the other part of it is they're seeing a very different applicant pool being test optional. Some colleges are experiencing double-digit percentage increases. In fact, Colgate University, great college in northern or upstate New York, received an applicant pool that was over 100% higher this year than it was last year. And a lot has to do with adopting a test optional policy, at least for last year. So some of these colleges are seeing huge application increases, which is what they want. They're seeing a much more diverse applicant pool, more students of color, more first-generation American students, more rural students applying to those colleges. And so these colleges are going, hey, this test optional policy isn't so bad. And so we'll have to wait and see, but probably these colleges need to have at least another year or two of data to see what effect that test optional policy had on their applicant pool, their enrolled student body, and their data points.
Well, if you have somebody going to college, I definitely would tell you to get her book. I mean, I don't even think there's a question. She's a very knowledgeable lady, very nice lady. And just her tips, and I love the way, you know, she talks about a soundbite. You know, it's just a very personal thing. It's not a hard concept to understand. It's like every student has one, and their essays got to match it. What did you think about that, Marcus?
Yeah, she really gave the insight about it. She demonstrated her very own experience that she personally went through and saw this thing firsthand, and now she's passing along the information needed for students to really develop their voice.
And when our show is transcribed and on our site, you will see a link of where you can get that great book. It's a nice thing to get if you need a stocking stuffer for the holidays, or it might be a great birthday present. Also might be a nice
graduation
gift. Yeah, exactly. Or a good summer book to read, maybe in between going in the pool and getting a suntan or going on the beach. It might be a great thing. Hey, how about for Memorial Day? You know, it'd be a great thing to just go pick it up. You could just buy it online too, and you know, you can get it and you'll be able to listen to it. So definitely a good book. So Sara, I definitely want to thank you for the opportunity to come on our show and share some amazing information. Really enjoyed the chat with you. Well, we've talked about advertising before, Marcus.
Yeah.
And you asked me a question and I kind of delayed it because I was coming back to it. XR advertising could become a real consumer threat. Now, that's no malarkey, okay? And that's if it's left unchecked. So what am I talking about, Marcus? Well, we know that they're learning more information about us, right?
Right.
And so everything goes up in the cloud. So whether you're a lady and you're, buying some lingerie, or you're a gentleman buying, some type of, let's say, deodorant or something like that, or maybe you're buying a piece of furniture, or maybe you're just treating yourself to a vitamin water or a can or bottle of Coke. And even though you did it contactlessly, your information is still being stored somewhere.
Yeah.
And these different products, are being purchased by you, but businesses are using a new type of technology called XR technology, extended reality. And they're using this extended reality technology as a way now to get you to buy more or to get you to buy that product. So we all know what virtual reality is, because we talked about that before, and we talked about augmented reality. But when we mix augmented and virtual reality together, wow, that's dangerous. That's extended reality. That's like life. And they're saying this is going to mushroom, Marcus. It's expected to grow somewhere in the coming years around 10 billion.
Yeah, to almost 62 billion in 2027. Well, that's crazy.
Yeah, in 2026, and then in 2027, 62 billion by 2027.
Yeah.
So we went from 8 billion right around 2020, and we kind of went up the chain already. So, they're saying by 2024 we'll be at 100 billion. This is according to some grand research that was done. So, I think it's going to be a problem because, we're really going to be afraid of one thing, Marcus. It's not the technology, okay? It's how it's going to, steer people in the wrong direction. A lot of bad actors are going to lure people into their traps to get them to buy things without people's knowledge and become almost like addicted or a craving to something. And again, itself is not a detriment to your body or your health. But if we're not vigilant and these bad actors are out there and they use this XR technology, they could harm our customers. And I want to make a quote here. And I quote, "A key aspect here is that augmented and extended reality technologies are inherently designed to alter reality. And this potential could be exploited to deceive and manipulate." That's the word, manipulate Customers. Who wants to be manipulated? Do you? I don't.
Oh no, I'm not for that one.
No, I don't want to get
somewhere else.
90% off or even get 10% off or get the product for free if you're going to try to manipulate me to buy something else.
Yeah.
But that's the problem. So what we're learning is that by people buying different products and services, we're learning a lot about their personal life, their likes, their dislikes, things that maybe they may not want to share with the rest of the world.
Right.
And now it's being sold as a commodity to people. So now they can market to you and get you to buy on an impulse. And we're talking about things, Marcus, again, we are a G show, but we're talking about things that range from everyday items all the way up to things that might be considered adult related.
Oh, wow.
And they're going to exploit this quite a bit. They're saying that disclosures need to really be put on things in certain areas, because we're not just talking about things like video content. We're talking about things like cigarettes and vaping products.
Oh, yeah.
So this is really serious. And, I'm not sure if you know this. I also have my degree in hypnosis. And when you change the mind, Marcus, okay, your brain doesn't even know why it's happening, but it just does something.
Yeah. And
I have to tell you something. If you don't want to do something, okay, and you're led to do something, it's sometimes very hard to break that habit. We've all heard of addicts that they might be addicted to alcohol or drugs, unfortunately. They're addicted, but they can't stop. They know it's bad, but they can't stop. So imagine this, Marcus. Your brain is running over 95% of your body.
Yeah.
And you know yourself, if you were to exercise, right, for 30 days, on the 31st day, you just naturally want to exercise, right? 32nd, up to 50. And then if you miss it, just, oh my gosh, you feel like you did something terrible, like you have to do it right away. If you break 1 or 2 days and you break the pattern, finally, then you get out of it. But I think the big moral of the story is that when you create a habit in your brain and you do it intentionally, that's fine. But when other people create a habit in your brain, that's detrimental. And that's manipulative. And that's what I think we need to be afraid of. I'm not a big person that watches TV anyway. And it's not just going to be on TV, though. You could be going to, I don't drink Coca-Cola either, but you go to your vitamin water dispenser or what have you, and suddenly there might be something very attractive or curious to you, because now, let's say your phone got close to that machine. It may now suddenly learn that it's you. And now I know you like race cars. Well, I'm going to have a bottle of Coke, getting in a race car, popping in, really cool. Maybe you're a teenager and at the age where the ladies are catching your eyes. So maybe I'm going to exploit that in a certain way. And now you suddenly want to buy this Coke or whatever it is because you're going to feel good. But the problem I have, Marcus, is if you only had $10 and these teens had $10 in their wallet and they had to make a decision on how to budget that money. Yeah. And now they really can't make the choice because they're getting manipulated to buy some crap, excuse the expression, because they really should have bought dinner, but they bought something else, which just kind of called out to them. Yeah. They didn't know why it called out to them. So this is what this XR technology is going to do. It's going to cause some problems.
Yeah, it's going to cause some problems, and it's going to result in a lot of financial loss, along with some very much needed therapy.
Exactly. And I'm going to make another quote. First, before I take the quote, I want to tell you that more research is going to be needed by many marketing, many advertising companies, consumer companies, because they said they can't really attribute anything to it. Of course they can. As soon as we have a lawsuit, you watch how fast they'll attribute things to it, right?
Yeah, they're going to be begging the lawmakers to put something in place to protect the consumer.
And I quote now, I think we need a broader public debate and policy discussion about what kinds of, listen to this, manipulation of people's reality are acceptable and whether and how XR experiences should come with disclosures about how they affect reality. Hey, didn't I just say something like that was going to happen?
Yeah. Oh yeah, you're a mind reader, John. Yeah.
It's similar to like the food nutrition labels or the warnings, right? So now you're suddenly in this movie theater and they have a warning before you go in the door. Warning. This theater uses XR advertising, and you may be led to purchase things that you might not have a direct need or want for. You enter at your own risk. Yeah, I don't know that. It's walking the door. And now suddenly you find yourself buying all this extra stuff because they said a long time ago, Marcus, that subliminal advertising doesn't work. I got to be honest with you. They're lying. It does work.
It does.
It works.
Yeah, I can tell you how many times I have been sitting down watching a basketball game and all of a sudden had the urge to go out to the store.
And what you want to buy?
Well, it was an adult beverage. I can tell you that much.
Okay. But yeah, it's like, you hear the pop, you see, so the senses, right? And so now it's like built in your brain. It's almost like every time you watch that basketball game, if I just say the basketball game, you suddenly think about that adult beverage.
Exactly.
Right? It's kind of like a Pavlov and the dog. You remember, for those of you who don't know that, I'm not going to go into a long thing, but there's a dog and Pavlov, and basically what happens is the dog's there and there's a bell, okay? And the dog's basically going to eat, salivates, rings the bell. Dog eats again, drinks, salivates, rings the bell again. Does this a few more times. After a while, just rings the bell. The dog still keeps salivating. You see, your pattern is going to keep repeating as long as there's enough of an emotional charge to hold it. Eventually, Marcus, if you stop watching that basketball game, or if you watch that basketball game and now suddenly, I don't know, they have how nice it would be to take a trip to Aruba.
Yeah.
You're going to be thinking about going to Aruba, but it's going to have a different effect to you than the adult beverage.
Right.
I think it's because the adult beverage is something you could go get now. Our trip to Aruba is something you got to do some steps, so there's a little more of a safety net there. I always say to people, wishing to make something true won't let it happen. If it did, we'd all be in a lot of trouble. We would have 1 million elephants in our living room. I'm sure you've wished for an animal to be in your house at one point in time, and thank God it didn't work, because otherwise that animal would just appear. When you put inspired thought into something, what it does is it opens your reticular activating system, and you are suddenly focused on how to do that. That's why when we teach people how to make money and we say to them, look, you're already a millionaire. You're already wealthy. Your brain and your body are looking for ways to prove to you that that's true.
Yeah.
But if you're saying, oh, gee, I don't have any money, well, then okay, we'll keep showing that to you. We'll keep showing you a bill. We'll keep showing you this. We'll keep doing what you need. But if you look at it from the other perspective, you shifted it. Now your brain is it's like this constant search engine. It's like, okay, I got to find something. And remember, it's working for you, but you're working against yourself. You're kicking yourself in the foot. So when you watch these commercials and you see something, the first thing you need to do, if you see this, you can say to yourself, okay, that's a beverage. I'm not interested in having that right now. I don't want that. And that's it. You have to just take control of it. And when you've done that, the next time it comes on, it's not going to seem so appealing to you. But that's what movie theaters do, right? When they start the movie.
Yeah, they do.
Well, this is a great time to visit the concession stand. Now, that doesn't get it, but then they show you the popcorn, and then they did this, and you know what some theaters do? You smell the popcorn.
Yeah, they blow that fan.
They pipe in. I know a casino that spends millions of dollars to pipe in a certain type of smell, and it's from the Indian tribe. And this is almost, I don't want to call it a drug, because it's not a drug, but it has a way of relaxing you.
Yeah, it does.
And they say that's legal. I'm missing something here, Marcus.
Yeah, I'm not. Yeah, I am too. So I don't know. And I used to have a gambling addiction. I'll admit that. And I remember the smells and the lights and the sounds, and it's all intentional. So I come to
it's all
find
intentional.
that out.
I mean, they could put in bubble gum, they could put every flavor they want, but they always have that like smell, and it's like yeah, it's very calming over here by the floor. And if you notice, I'm not a gambler. When I went there, you get a beverage, but they would only bring you the beverage if you were at the machine and gambling. So if I ordered this stack or whatever I ordered, and I'm waiting, and they take forever to bring. I think they do that on purpose. And it's like, and I'm like, where's my drink? Or my drink? And the minute you get up, they don't bring it to you. You have to be sitting at the machine. So that's a perfect example, Marcus, of how XR technology is already in play.
Yeah.
I mean, we hear it in music, right?
Right.
Maybe you go to the car wash, and maybe there's a gentleman, and maybe they're a silhouette, or maybe they're a cutout. And they have this great big thing of how, your car is going to look so amazing when you have this wax, or they have an audio recording saying, you're going to look studly when you get your car waxed with such and such. It's all a mirage. But what it does is it confuses the brain, and the brain doesn't know what's real and what's not.
Mm-hmm.
So as much as they say subliminal advertising doesn't work, it works.
Yeah.
I just think they don't want to get sued. So they just said they said it was inconclusive. I always love when they do that, Marcus. It's inconclusive.
Yeah, that's a bunch of baloney. So yeah, man. You're spot on, John, and you really provided a lot of value here tonight, and really hopefully helping a lot of people, get off the couch and get something different other than a drink.
Yeah, have some water. I drink 72 ounces of RO water, and I got to tell you, it is the best thing. Anyway, we have one more important story I'd like to share with you. Now, whether you've gotten vaccinated or not, that's not what I'm going to go into today. That's your business. I hope you've made the decision to do it, but that's up to you. The challenge now is, how do we know who's vaccinated and who's not vaccinated? With the laws changing, there are going to be fines issued someday, Marcus, for people that aren't vaccinated and are acting as if they are vaccinated.
Yeah.
So how do you stay on top of this? I mean, this is going to be like a mess, I would say. Well, guess what they came out with?
Oh, what's that, John?
Digital vaccine passport.
Oh man, someone said that this may come, and here we are. I'm finding this very surprising.
I predicted this was going to happen. Now, it's free, the site, and I did the checking so that it is completely legitimate, because don't just do this if you don't know who they are. One of the very first companies was called Go Get Vax. Now, Go Get Vax is helping customers like Lowe's, Pods, ADEC, Texas, and many others. But they were first a site that was helping people, Marcus, to get on the list to be vaccinated. Pretty neat. But now they have started they call it Vax Yes. So if you go to gogetvax.com /Vax Yes, you're going to be greeted with a website. And it's going to say, get your free, secure, verified vaccine passport on your phone. So all you do is you enter your mobile phone number, and then you create your free Vax card by clicking Create My Free Vax Yes card. It was endorsed by Fox, ABC, NBC, the Dallas Morning News, Yahoo Finance, so you obviously know they're not a slouch. And they do have an SSL, EVSSL certificate. They got it by Let's Encrypt, which I thought was kind of interesting. I would have thought a company like that would actually spend the buck. So that's the only thing I didn't like, is that they got a free certificate. Let's Encrypt is free. This company, it is HIPAA compliant, secure, and all that good stuff. But that was the one thing I didn't like, is that they had a free EVSSL. Anyway, I did this a little while ago. I put my phone number in. They sent me a message on my phone. They basically asked me my first name. Then I responded. They asked me my last name. After they asked me my last name, the next thing they asked me was my date of birth. After they asked me that, they asked me what was the date of my first vaccine dosage. I put the date in. Month, day, year, with parentheses, with the slashes. You hit, and it comes back within like less than a minute. It comes back and says, thank you. What is the lot number of your vaccine? Which is actually written, most people know this, on your fax card. It's written there right on the left, and you have to put that in there. Comes back, checks, it says, thank you. Comes back and it says, what was the date of your second one? If you didn't have one, then you just put XX. So now you've done all that. The next thing they ask you to do, after you've done those whole things, they ask you to take a picture of your Vax card and send it to them as a text attachment. Great. Next thing they ask you to do, they ask you to take a picture of your driver's license. Send it back. It'll give you a yes or no when it's verified. Then it tells you to wait, that you have passed first level verification. It's waiting for second level verification. And then usually within 24 hours, they'll send you your digital Vax card, which you can add to your Apple Wallet.
That's interesting.
So I encourage everyone to go to it's called Go Get, it's G-O, Get, G-E-T, Vax.com/Vax Yes. If you haven't gotten vaccinated, you could go to gogetvax.com and you can schedule to find where the closest place to get a vaccine is, and they'll notify you, but put you on the waiting list. So I think that's going to be pretty amazing. And I think a lot of these companies are doing this. You know why, Marcus? Because this is a big challenge.
Yeah.
And being able to manage these records, this isn't easy. This is not an easy thing.
No.
And there are companies out there trying to sell false Vax records.
Yeah.
False Vax records. So I don't know what to tell you, but great little site. You could do that. And again, don't just go doing this on sites that you don't know, but this site has been verified and it's been featured on the news and lots of places. So it actually had its own press release that was sent out. And when they do a large press release like that, these press release companies, they won't send them out if they're fraudulent. Like they're not going to send a press release out saying, oh, gee, we've got a site that's collecting your information. And by the way, we're going to be selling it to the third countries. No. It's not like the letters with FB and then they ask you to upload your passport and your thing. No, it's not like that. So some great information, ladies and gentlemen. And in case you were wondering, I don't know if you were or not, we have another guest coming up next week. So next week, can you believe, Marcus, that we are in the first Friday of June?
Every time you say that, John, I can't believe it. It seems like we go on to the next month in the next episode.
We have an amazing guest.
Yeah.
Okay. We always have amazing guests.
Yeah, all the time.
This gentleman is a musician, but his full-time job is he is a UXI experience developer. So what does that mean in English? So he does the UI, the user experience. They call it UX, UXI. And so he goes through the process and the flow and how screens should look and not just function, so that it has a little bit of both worlds. So very interesting. Like I said, he is a musician. And I think you're going to find him to be an interesting guest. And in case you're wondering, coming down in the month of June, we also have a school administrator coming sometime in the next few months. We have a school administrator. He was waiting till school gets out before he comes on the air because he's been very, very busy. We have another doctor coming to give us his thoughts about COVID and some of the truths and some of the, I'll call it the fallacies. little later in the month, we actually have Sheila Mack. If you don't know Sheila Mack, she is an amazing lady. She's known quite a bit around the world. She's a serial entrepreneur like myself. She started, in business, and then she got into real estate, and she then later wound up buying the entire block, and now she has quite a few gift stores. So very interesting people, that we have on, and I think you're definitely gonna enjoy her. I'm actually a guest on her show as well. And then toward the end of the month, we have Andre Ruiz, who is a coach, and he's going to give us a little spin on life and some tips. So I think you're going to find that interesting. But listen, ladies and gentlemen, if you would like to go back, watch any of our show, just go to jmor.com. Under social, you can find any of our shows, not just this year, but any year. We have an archive. You can go back and find things. You can search things. You can check out our unboxings. You could check out our review channel. But you can also, if you have an idea for a show, click on the reach out button at the top right. Tell us a little about yourself or the idea for the show. Remember, this is not a place to pitch a product or service. I had another gentleman like that this week, and although he was a wonderful person, I said, I don't see any value for my audience. Oh, I sell this kind of machine. That's nice, but I'm not interested, and my audience isn't interested in a sales pitch. I thank you for your time, though, and but we're not interested. Or what I always tell them is, well, my production team has decided that we're not a match. But thanks. Reach out to us again, or we'll contact you again if there's an opening. And so, that's really important. We strive very hard, Marcus, to bring value to our audience. And, we really try to give them high quality. If you have an idea for an unboxing, go to our show too. And you can also, our site, and you can tell us about the product. You can donate to us, and we'll do an unboxing and a review. So lots of great stuff. And in the next 30 days, we're going to be automating that process. So if you're looking to become a guest on the show, you're going to be able to apply right through the website, through a whole automated process, making it really easy. You'll actually go to a vetting interview with me. After the vetting interview, you will then go to the next step. After we verify your documents, you'll get scheduled. So first, there'll be a pre-step where you'll give us a pitch. If we think you're interesting and we'd like to talk with you, we'll invite you to a vetting interview. If not, we'll thank you for your time and say that we're probably not interested in your pitch, but thank you. And then after the vetting, we will then give you the recording date, but the whole process is automated. So it's really easy, really simple. Even the media release is automated. So we're trying to make this easy for people. But we do these things, ladies and gentlemen, because we want to make sure that we're protected, you're protected. And when you're on air, we do need to have a media release. So that's really important. And again, a shout out to our friends at Princeton Community TV. We are on 3 p.m. every Sunday. Now, we're quite a few months behind on their channel, but lots of great content there. And again, a big shout out to Princeton Community TV, all the professors, all the students. And of course, if any of you students would like to get involved in our video internship and media program, definitely reach out to me. We're building our internship program every single day, and we're creating some amazing experiences. And if you'd like to be part of this fun and not just learn media from the books, reach out to us. I think we're probably going to give you an experience that is going to send you spinning in a real positive way. Well, Marcus, it is that time, unfortunately, to say goodbye, isn't it?
Unfortunately,
so it is. I hope everyone has a wonderful Memorial Day weekend, right? And a very safe one.
Yeah.
And I guess we're going to see you guys all next week. And remember, masks are not required in some states. So have a great one, everyone. And we'll be back next week.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you for tuning in to the Jay Moore Weekly Technology Show, where we answer your questions about how technology is supposed to work and sometimes why you have challenges getting it to work that way. For more IT support and tips, just text IT support to 888-111. That's IT support to 888-111, and you'll get tips on technology. I'll see you next week right here on the Jay Moore Tech Talk Show. Remember, jmor.com.